Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. Today we had the next in the now long running series of Saturday previews, and unlike the previous one, which was heavily Age of Sigmar focused, the one this weekend had some really awesome new teasers and models shown for fans of the 40k setting. So if you are someone who likes Admech, Sisters or Orks, then strap in because we've got some very cool stuff to cover. First off, we got to see the model which I think we were all expecting, having seen the silhouette of it previously, and indeed it is a new HQ unit for the Admech. The Skitari Marshal, as they call him, appears to be yet another lieutenant model which is being rolled out for various armies, much like the Space Marine lieutenants and the new Sisters of Battle Palatine. We don't have his rules just yet, but as the article and the preview noted, he will be able to help ensure that every shot counts for the Skitari Rangers, so I imagine he is going to be giving them that bubble of reroll ones to wound. As always, a reroll wound buff is a very nice one to have, and it is also nice for Admech to be getting another HQ model that they can use. And to be fair, he looks pretty cool, matching the Skitari aesthetic with a very fancy looking pistol and his control stave melee weapon. And what is possibly even bigger news is that his rules, along with the huge amount of Admech stuff which has been released over the past year or so, the Archaeopter, the Sulphur Hounds, the Flying Da Vinci Dudes, well, all of their rules are being consolidated into one easy to find place. Yep. Very soon, the Admech are going to be getting their 9th edition codex. I think it seems like the order of codexes is going to, at least as much as possible, alter between an Imperium or a Space Marine faction and then something Xenos related, so it's not too surprising that this is coming out next after the Drukhari, which is up for pre-order this weekend. But what we see after that, we still aren't sure. They were asked in the preview today about a roadmap, but didn't commit to anything, and personally, I think that is just because of everything that's been going on in this past year. They're a bit reluctant to state the order or any timelines of when things may be coming out, in case, supply or lockdown related issues force them to readjust things. Which, I mean, is fair enough. It would be nice to know, but I think they are aware that if they said, for example, Orks are coming out in May, and that's not confirmed or anything, that's just an example. If they said Orks were coming out in May, and then they had to delay it for a few months, people would be annoyed and upset, so maybe they're thinking as is, it's just better not to say anything at all until, a lot closer to the actual time when you can, you can confirm that there's not going to be any shipment delays or anything like that. In any case, it does look as though the Admech are next up, and man, that artwork is incredible. I love the tech priest on the front. He looks incredibly grim dark, and the whole scene itself looks exactly how I would expect an Adeptus Mechanicus force to look if there was one in real life. And I think the one thing that we can definitely say for 9th edition is that Games Workshop have absolutely knocked the artwork out of the ballpark when it comes to codex covers. They have all, pretty much, as far as I can think, I'm just thinking back through all of them now, they've all been absolutely fantastic. The article on the Warhammer community page says that we will find out more in April, so I am guessing that we may be seeing April as a release date for this codex, and again, obviously this isn't confirmed, but I have a feeling that it will probably be late April, maybe early May at a push for the next 40k codex, so Admech players, start oiling your cogs because you don't have long to wait at all. Next up, okay, so first off, I'm going to have to say, I was wrong. I'll hold my hands up. I was wrong. The Sisters aren't getting a redone repressor like I thought and like I mentioned in the previous video, but instead it does look like they are getting a main battle tank. And now immediately upon looking at this, I'm sure you can see why some people are a little bit disappointed, and that is because yes, it is essentially a Rhino chassis vehicle. It looks very much like a Predator, and a lot of people in the comments and at the preview and on forums I've read afterwards have stated that they don't like it because it feels like Sisters are just getting the Space Marine hand-me-downs. But to be fair, why wouldn't a tank for the Sisters use the Rhino STC? It's only because of the Primaris that Marines are getting new vehicles and new designs. The Firstborn, both in-game and presumably lore-wise, are still using Predators and Rhinos and Razorbacks and Land Raiders, so to me, it makes absolute sense that this new tank for the Sisters is based upon that Rhino STC. And to be fair, it has had some changes to the standard Predator look. It's much more ornate and stylized, it's got those little statues in the alcoves and the braziers on the side, and even on a functionality level, it is different. Not only does it have that third hull-mounted heavy bolter, which the standard Predator doesn't have, and which, may I say, looks absolutely awesome, but also the turret itself is much bigger and wider than the standard Predator turret, which makes it, in my opinion, look much more imposing and threatening, and more like a main battle tank that, like in the real world for us today, we would recognize as being a main battle tank compared to the Predator. It is, of course, also helped by the fact that it has an absolutely huge battle cannon on the front as well. The tank itself is called the CASTIGATOR, and it has the option for that large battle cannon or the twin autocannon, which you can see on your screen now alongside the 3 heavy bolters. And whilst at least the impression that they gave off is that it can't swap out the sponsons, I do think that this thing is going to be a step up from the Predator in terms of damage output, aside from possibly the quad las Predator. But with 3 heavy bolters pumping out 9 shots, and then likely D6 shots from the battle cannon, or maybe 4 to 6 shots from the autocannon, depending on whether they're slightly different from the regular versions of those weapons, it will certainly be a fantastic vehicle for taking out light vehicles, heavy infantry, as well as doing a lot of work on hordes with its sheer number of shots. So while I do understand why some people may be a bit disappointed, and to be fair, I really was looking forward to seeing a reimagined Repressor, and this is, you know, at the end of the day, an upgunned and updated Predator tank, but still, it is very cool to see Sisters getting even more new and exciting units, and they did state in the preview that this isn't everything. There is still more new things to come for the Sororitas, so who knows what other awesome and terrifying units may be coming to support the Sisters in cleansing the heretics in the future. The final thing the preview covered on the topic of 40k is wow. That's the only word for it, is just wow. It's really huge, and I'm gonna run the little teaser that GW showed right now so you can watch it for yourself before we have a little chat about it.
Right, boys, listen up. In the beginning, Gork and Mork needed some fighty lads, so they did some stuff, and their orcs appeared. Some of them were runts, but there was lots of boys too. Some of them were big, and some of them were weird, but they was all mean and green. Except the red ones. And the biggest and greenest get around is the big boss, and we's gotta listen to him, cause he's taking us on the Great War. That's where all the best fighting is. We's gonna use all the shiny new trucks and shooters to crump the you what? We don't need that junk. Shut up, you git. As I was saying, the other lads have their shinies and their know-whats, but they don't know how to use them proper. Not like us. We's got our stickers and our squigs. We's gonna drag them down and crump them good, with hands and teeth and all that fancy truck gubbins. That's why we're the biggest and we're the strongest in any clan we're in. Saddle up, Beast Snaggas. The war's coming!
Okay, so I need to just say I'm so unbelievably hyped for this. When I saw it on the screen, I just was like laughing and giddy with excitement as I heard the voice of the orcs, and I saw the awesome animated style that they've done for it. As many of you know, I collect and play orcs, And the idea of having a savage, roving band of orcs riding around on squigs and who knows what else, just charging into enemy lines, fills me with absolute pure glee. The Beast Snaggas look like not a full range revamp. We can still see some of the old and current style orc units and models in that teaser, I think, but in my opinion, it's going to be a huge range addition, bringing along a huge plethora of new units and a new style to the orcs, much like the Speed Freaks box did for the orc vehicles a few years ago. And I am so excited to see more of this range. And looking through the trailer, we can see some hints at what may be coming in the future. You can see some orcs on those squig hogs, one of which looks like he's got some kind of lightning claw, perhaps. There's the single orc on the smaller squig, which is much more familiar to the style of squigs that we know at the moment. And there's even the one pulling what looks to be a brand new vehicle with a load of guns and a load of orcs sat on it. And then even more excitingly, what appears to be a huge new orc warboss with his bone and fur and some kind of, I don't know, small squig shooting a gun from his shoulder. I'm also curious whether this is one of the models that we saw way back in the 9th edition release previews, where we saw that what everyone thought was an updated orc boy, because when you look back at it, and I will put pictures up on the screen now, the aesthetic of that model did look a bit more, I want to use the phrase Mad Max, than anything that we have got for the current 40k orcs. So I'm inclined to think that maybe that tease was actually showing off one of these new models compared to what we thought it may be, which was just a revamped version of the current orc line. But whether things like the current boys or the knobs or the mega knobs and that kind of stuff get an update into this aesthetic as well, I guess we will just have to wait and see. It really looks like they've just had so much fun designing this range, and based on the one model that they've shown off, it looks like we are going to be in for a very rough, very wild ride. They look like a very hardy bunch of models which you can either hopefully base your whole force off, or what my hope is that you can just slot them into your current orc forces and use them as sort of like an outrider force that rides out and just goes after the toughest enemies and just takes the fight right to them. Much like orcs do anyway, but these guys are like orcs turned up to 11, you know what I mean? The fluff for them was stated that they do literally just ride around and go after the hardest, toughest enemies they can find. So Terminators, tanks, Titans, maybe even Demon Primarchs are not going to be safe from these guys, and they basically just ride around and look for the best fight possible. They told us in the preview that we will be finding out more about these new boys soon, and they also mentioned that there is going to be another big preview coming up in a few weeks' time. So I really can't wait to see what else we got, not only for the orcs in that, but also any new and upcoming units for the sisters, and maybe something that hints at some possible future codex releases further down the line in 2021. But that's it for today. This preview was absolutely fantastic and one of the best for 40k I think we have had since they started doing them last year. But what did you think of the reveals today? Are you more excited for the Admech or the sisters or these new orcs? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you would like to see in the upcoming Admech Codex, as well as what rules and abilities you would like to see for these Beast Snaggas. As always, thank you very much for watching, and please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me. But until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.